When you think about leadership development, I want you to think about it in terms of faith formation. There's certain aspects of ourselves that we are constantly in the process of improving, of deepening, of widening, and leadership development is but one of many paths in that direction. I believe that strong lay leaders are essential to Unitarian Universalist congregations. So I want us to be as serious about developing lay leaders as we are about developing ministerial leaders, religious educators, musical directors, and all of our professional staff. I'm currently working with a model that I call the 12-part foundation of faithful leadership formation. These 12 parts can be divided into 3 different general areas. The first area are sensibilities that we want our leaders to develop. One sensibility is around multiculturalism, anti-racism, to be able to bring that lens to everything we do. We know that our congregations are going to become more and more diverse, the society is going to become more and more diverse, and we need to be responsive to that new reality. The second is a generational sensibility. How are people born 1985 and later different than those who were born during the baby boom? How are their experiences different? How do they approach church differently? We need to understand what those differences are. Another sensibility is what I call contextual sensibility. How is the world around us changing? What's Twitter? What's Facebook? Should my church care about them? What's this new spiritual but not religious? Don't they just sound like Unitarian Universalists? These are all sensibilities that I want our leaders to develop. The fourth sensibility is being able to think systemically. If you've had any healthy congregations training, this is the kind of thing that we talk about in that. It's the ability to be able to get up in the balcony, to see the church as a whole, to see historical and institutional patterns that have developed, and to be wise about how to address those patterns. The second area of leadership formation has to do with the self. One area of the self is, how does a leader embody Unitarian Universalist DNA? What makes them a Unitarian Universalist leader rather than a leader of another denomination or of a nonprofit or even a leader in some sort of business or corporation? The second is, how can a person, a leader, be mission focused? How can they put aside their own desires and work for the common good of the congregation? Being really clear what the mission is and being really clear about how the congregation can best serve that mission. The third is a leader who's spiritually grounded, paying attention to where their spiritual center is, having some sort of spiritual practice, being able to listen deeply, those types of skills. The fourth aspect of self is emotional intelligence. We want our leaders to be able to understand how they function, to know what their emotional triggers are, to know what their predispositions are, to be able to question their assumptions, to be able to be wrong, but also to be able to hold their ground when they are trying to lead change for the good of the congregation, and to be able to become not comfortable, but at least be able to tolerate other people's discomfort during times of change. And of course, we also have skills that we want our leaders to develop. We want them, first of all, to be skilled in being able to grow other leaders. Each one teach one kind of mentality, as well as how to do that, how to mentor, how to encourage other folks, how to let go when it's time to let go, all those kinds of skills. We also want our leaders to develop skills around leading change and dealing with conflict, being able to be comfortable with constructive conflict, to not get sucked into destructive conflict. So those kinds of skills. We also want our leaders to have very good communication skills, learning how to communicate clearly, to use available methods, some of the new electronic methods, as well as to communicate verbally. We also want our leaders to have good communication practices, transparency, avoiding things like triangulation, that sort of thing. We also want our leaders to have good management skills. These are basics like how to run a meeting, how to keep folks on task, how to be a good fiduciary representative if they're a board member, skills that you might learn in other aspects of our life, such as a career or some sort of nonprofit service, but things that as an institution we need to be able to have leaders who can function well in just getting things done.